work hard, sleep less. Like I can do 18, 22 hours a day easily, and that's crazy.
I feel very strongly that we are who we choose to be. You're not going to outwork me. It's such a simple, basic concept. The guy who is willing to hustle the most is going to be the guy that just gets that loose ball.
In order to be successful at this game, it needs to be 24/7. Number one is that hard work pays off. And number two is that dreams come true.
If other people are putting in 40-hour work weeks and you're putting in 100-hour work weeks, then even if you're doing the same thing, you will achieve in months what it takes them a year to achieve.
Step one is obsess, get totally focused, unleash your desire, that gives the energy. Step two is not waiting. It's massive action. Keep changing your approach until you find effective execution.
Because success at big goals in life don't just fall from the sky. You got to take steps, you got to plan, you got to be progressive about what you're doing.
It's hard. Easy is not an option. It's hard living. Life is hard.
Nothing is impossible. You just have to kind of keep running through the walls.
It's always going to take work. If you want to be successful, you want to own things, you want to be in control of your life, you want to own your life, it's always going to take work. And it's going to take planning and thinking things through. You can't get around that. You can't get around that. Be responsible. Be successful. Be productive. Realize that having a life that is great cannot be done without hard work.
You know, how long would you give your average kid to learn how to walk? Before you turned to the kid and said, dude, it's never going to happen, you're not a walker, just give it up. Like, people go, you're crazy, my kid's going to keep trying until. Keep changing your approach until you find it.
I think it just comes down to, like, you just got to want it really bad.
It's strictly based on being outworked. It's strictly based on missing crucial opportunities. I say all the time, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
You have to have an emotional investment in what you're doing. If you don't love what you're doing, failure is pretty much guaranteed. Success is not guaranteed by any means, but failure is much more likely if you don't love what you're doing.
Building really great companies just takes a while, and it's good to not try to do it too fast. It's really, really, really good to be ambitious, obviously. But it's not that great to be too hasty.
That as you go through the challenges of life and you look at it and embrace whatever comes to you, don't run from it, step toward it. Don't try and duck it like most people do. See, most people want it easy.
If you're running east looking for a sunset, I don't care how positive you are, you're not going to see the sunset. It's the wrong strategy, right? It's just not going to happen.
Life is going to whoop you until you surrender. I couldn't understand it then, but after I got through it, then I saw that that was preparing me for bigger and better things.
Do what you love, at least a little bit. And if you have to do something else in order to support what you love, do it. Hell, work at McDonald's. And if you really love something, you'll do whatever it takes to support that thing. And don't ever let fear or the little demon that says you ought to do this and you shouldn't do that ever keep you from pursuing what you love.
If you know why you're doing something and what it is that you're trying to get, then it's a question of being very, very open to failure, trying again and again and again until you get it.
The Chinese bamboo tree takes 5 years to grow. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe in your abilities, unquestionably.
We didn't give up at that point.
That you know what life is, that you have embraced life. You knew it was hard, but you did it hard.
Work your ass off. Nobody ever stumbled upon success by accident. You never want to fail because you didn't work hard enough. I always believed no stone unturned. Work your butt off. That's what I always believed. No matter what you do, work, work, work. No pain, no gain. When people say, I don't have time to work out. Or I have worked so hard all day, I'm tired, I cannot work out anymore. Or I cannot read another book. Or I cannot improve myself. Or I don't have time, or I work so hard that I cannot really improve my business. Or I cannot grow as a person, or any of those things. I mean, the day is 24 hours. You sleep 6 hours, so you have 18 hours left.
If it's hard, then do it hard.
Listen, when I came to the United States, I remember that I trained 5 hours a day, every day, and I was managing a construction business, and I was a bricklayer, and I went to college also, and I took acting classes from 8 o'clock at night to 12 o'clock midnight. All of that in one day. Every day I did that. I did not worry about it. I knew that I had 24 hours and I didn't want to waste one single hour. That early to bed, early to rise. Work like hell. Just remember, you can't climb that ladder of success with your hands in your pockets.
And some people, ladies and gentlemen, they stop because they don't see instant results. It doesn't happen quickly. They stop. Oh, no. You got to keep on watering your dream. And when it began to happen, when you're working at your dream, somebody said the harder the battle, the sweeter the victory.
You must work your ass off. It's that simple.
The Chinese bamboo tree takes 5 years to grow. When they go through a process of growing it, they have to water and fertilize the ground where it is every day. And it doesn't break through the ground until the 5th year. Through the ground, within 5 weeks, it grows 90 feet tall. Because at any time that person stopped watering and nurturing and fertilizing that dream, that bamboo tree would have died in the ground.
There was a day that I became wealthy. I'll tell you the day, I know that day I was rich. I was broke. I was pissed. I was angry at everybody else but who? Myself. I had a friend that I loaned money to when I had barely enough and I knew he needed it. And I gave him $1,200 and I'm here not able to eat. I'm down to like $25, $26. And I'm saying to him, calling him, and he's not returning my call. And I just need some money and he's ignoring me. I didn't ignore him then, so I'm pissed. I'm frustrated. In the midst of all this, I'm also pragmatic. I got 25 and change, call it $26. What the hell am I gonna do? I don't have any plans for economics. I got overhead that's crazy. I'm living in this little tiny apartment, 400 square feet in Venice, California. I should have been freaking out. How the fuck am I gonna eat? But I didn't. I flew because something inside of me had finally got past scarcity. I finally realized there's something inside of us more than our limits, especially around this thing called money that I had let terrorize me. And I got home, and the mailman came that day, and I had no idea how I was gonna have my next meal. And a letter comes, and it's from the guy I loaned the money to. Handwritten note saying, I've been avoiding you. It's wrong. I'm so sorry. You were there when I needed you. Here's what I owe you plus a little bit more. And the $1,200 was there, plus another $100 for the time that I had to take care of it. And I cried. And then I decided, what does this mean? I thought, this means that whenever you give, it's always going to come back, so you don't have to ever think about that shit again. Just give. I don't know if that's coincidence, but I decided to believe that day was a blessing when I became rich. And I can tell you honestly, I've had tough days in my life, economically, emotionally, like all of us. But I've never gone back to that scarcity. I never will. The secret to living is giving. Do it when you don't have it, and I promise you, scarcity will leave your life.
I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to fall over, make a mistake. That oftentimes cripples people on the onset of getting into anything. The first time I ever picked up the DJ decks, it was horrible now, but I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of that feeling. It actually propels me. It works quite the opposite. I can do 18, 22 hours a day easily. I'm a veteran at being able to look at an opportunity and go, is that going to take me further or not? Some people don't have that. You won't. It's something you develop. You know, that's why most times out of 10, any head of a company has been doing it for a long time, because they inherently can make a decision in the blink of an eye. But you have to learn that. My breakthrough was actually deciding I wanted to be an actor. The other thing that's important, I think, is to keep your head down. You know, keep your head down. Like when I swim 25 laps, guaranteed if I look up and start counting those laps, I'm petered out by 15. If I put my head down and keep working away and work at technique, work at internal rhythm, work at, I hit that length, I don't even know what length I'm on, guarantee you I'll look up and it'll be 20 and 3 more to go. I think people find themselves incrementally checking how far they've got. And that, you know, when you compare it to anybody else or whatever, it's just it's a recipe for disaster. Just keep banging on, you know, that's the most important. Mountain climbers will probably tell you the same thing, you know, there's no point looking. The difference between climbing 100 feet and climbing 500 feet is a point of view. You won't know you're at the top until you get there, pal. And that's what you need to remember. Just don't look down. It changed my life. It turned my dreams into a reality. It gave me an actual, tangible target to go, oh, actually, I could do this. That was my biggest breakthrough. Of course, there have been numerous breakthroughs over my career and my life, which I'm all proud of, but none so much as that realization that I want to be an actor. Know what your target is. Don't guess it. Be as clued up as the next man, because that's your petrol. That's your fuel to get you moving. If you don't know where you're going, what your targets are, you're never going to get there. Period. Work hard, sleep less.
For a moment, consider the things your mind has brought you. Everything you have, your work, your relationship with your family and others, your philosophy of life, all come to you as a result of using your mind. Now consider the estimate made by experts. You have probably been operating on less than 10% of your mental capacities, much less. Man is using a very small fraction of his capacities. Neurological research at the UCLA Brain Research Institute points to enormous abilities latent in everyone by suggesting an incredible hypothesis. The ultimate creative capacity of the human brain may be, for all practical purposes, they pointed out, infinite. Man is a vast storehouse of data, but we have not learned how to program ourselves to utilize these data for problem-solving purposes. Man, under average conditions of work and life, uses only a small part of his thinking equipment. If he were able to force our brain to work at only half its capacity, we could, without any difficulty whatever, learn 40 languages.
The reason that people don't do stuff, one is it's hard, and two is it's risky. I think history belongs to the doers. And I think you should take a risk. The risk actually looks like is not doing something that you will then spend the rest of your life regretting. I think most people give up on things way too early. So the mistake that most people make is they try something, it does not immediately work.
Living successfully, getting the things we want from life, is a matter of solving the problems which stand between where we now are and the point we wish to reach.
Be the person that does more for others.
No one is without problems. They're a part of living.
Life will just be anything you want out of it, really is what it is. And so the way to do that is every day work harder on yourself than anything else. Because if you become more intelligent, more valuable, more skilled, you can add more value to other people.
Yeah, I think if you don't actually believe what you're doing is really important, if you don't derive satisfaction from what you're doing, then you will not be able to sustain all of the bad things that happen in the incredibly long period of time that the bad things happen over. And so the only motivation that I have seen work for people over a long period of time is enjoyment in what they're doing and an intense belief that it matters. It's totally cool when people start off saying, well, I want to make money or I want to be famous. I think a lot of people start that way and they don't like to admit it. But pretty quickly, or at least in the first few years, I think a lot of people find a deeper mission for why they do what they do, and that drives them then for the rest of the time they work.
So the point is you don't have to wait in line. You don't have to do it the way everybody else has done it. You can do it your way. You can break the rules. That's rule number 1.
It is the generally accepted theoretical view of man's mental potentialities. Now, how can we tap this gigantic potential? Well, it's a big and very complex problem with many ramifications. But as Herbert Otto points out, it is clear that persons who live close to their capacity, who continue to activate their potential, have a pronounced sense of well-being and considerable energy. They see themselves as leading purposeful and creative lives. But believe me when I say that your mind can be compared to an undiscovered gold mine. Look at it this way. Your goal is in the future. Your problem is to bridge the gap which exists between where you are now and the goal you intend to reach. This is the problem to solve. Successful people are not people without problems. They're simply people who've learned to solve their problems.
Ignore people telling you your idea is bad. They may be right, but the only way to know is to actually build it out. And in most of the rest of the world, the default response when you tell someone your idea is to say, oh, that's not going to work. And this is really toxic for startups, because you have to believe in yourself. And the good ideas, because they sound like bad ideas, are so fragile and so killable. That you have to be really careful to insulate yourself against this.
We don't do anything without an idea. So they're beautiful gifts. Desiring an idea is like a bait on a hook.
Yeah.
It can pull them in. And if you catch an idea that you love, that's a beautiful, beautiful day. And you write that idea down so you won't forget it. And that idea that you caught might just be a fragment of the whole, whatever it is you're working on, but now you have even more bait. Thinking about that small fragment, that little fish, will bring in more, and they'll come in and they'll hook on. And more come in, and pretty soon you might have a script. Or a chair, or a painting, or an idea for a painting. More often than not, small fragments. I like to think of it as in the other room, the puzzle is all together. But they keep flipping in just one piece at a time.
After 7 weeks, they say, you know what, I tried this thing. It's just not meant to be, and I have too many other projects, so they immediately give up. Being young and unknown and poor, that is actually a great gift in terms of the amount of risk you can take.
That's a beautiful thing to think about.
Like, a lot of people ask me, like, I was where you were once, can't you help me? And I was like, well, the difference was when I was where you were, I never asked anybody for help. I just did it myself. So it's always better if you can do it yourself. You feel better at the end of the day.
These things are really hard. They take a very long time. There are a lot of critics. There are a lot of people who say this thing sucks. It's gonna fail. It's really stupid. Most of the founders that I have spent a lot of time with that have gone on to be super successful spent a very long time on their idea when a lot of other people would have given up.
There's always a sense that people have that it's really hard to come up with answers. All the answers have already been discovered in one way or another, and I think that's not the case. And I sort of divide things up into conventions, which are things everybody knows to be true. At the other extreme, there are mysteries, things that nobody can figure out, and in between are these things that I call secrets, which are things that you could figure out. They're hard, but if you really work at it, you could figure something out. There are many secrets left to be discovered. I actually think that this is a somewhat non-conventional view, is that most secrets have been discovered and that there's nothing new to find. And so I think there are a lot of fields where new things can be found. We're often discouraged by sort of a version of globalization. We think there are 7 billion other people in the world, and there will always be someone who will have already thought of it. And if no one will have thought of it before us, it must be almost impossibly hard. And so it ends up being this sort of self-fulfilling thing where we don't even try. And I do think the only people who will discover secrets are people who work at it. Many of these great companies have something like this at the core.
But let me show you how much time we waste in worrying about the wrong problem. Here's a reliable estimate of the things people worry about. Things that never happen, 40%. Things over and past that can't be changed by all the worry in the world, 30%. Needless worries about our health, 12%. Petty miscellaneous worries, 10%. Real, legitimate worries, 8%. 92% of the average person's worries take up valuable time, cause painful stress, even mental anguish, and are absolutely unnecessary. And of the real, legitimate worries, there are two kinds. There are the problems we can solve, and there are the problems beyond our ability to personally solve. But most of our real problems usually fall into the first group, the ones we can solve if we learn how. The only thing in the world that can take you to your goals in life is your mind, its effective use, and following through on the good ideas it supplies you. Each of us has a tendency to underestimate his or her own abilities. We should realize that we have, deep within ourselves, a reservoir of great ability, even genius.
There still is a frontier left, and the frontier is not infinitely far away. But there are many places where you can still get to the frontier. There are many directions you can go where the frontier is close and where there's a lot left to be discovered.
Now I'm going to assume you've decided upon a goal. Your problem is, how do I achieve it? Your goal may be a promotion, a greater income, a beautiful home. It makes little difference what your goal happens to be. But you have your goal, and you know that you will become and you will achieve what you think about. That is, if you stay with it, you will reach your goal. But how? Well, it's right here that your mind comes into play. What is your mind? No one knows for sure. Perhaps the best way to describe it is to quote Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright Archibald MacLeish. The only thing about a man that is a man is his mind. Everything else you can find in a pig or a horse. The human mind is the one thing that separates us from the rest of the creatures on Earth. In order to reflect just a moment on the human mind, consider what it's accomplished. Human knowledge has advanced more in the past 50 years than in all the preceding 10,000 years of human civilization. We're entering an entirely new age of man, the age of the mind. and you own one, free and clear. Pick 1 hour a day on which you can fairly regularly count. And during this hour every day, take a completely blank sheet of paper. At the top of the page, write your present primary goal, clearly, simply. Then, since our future depends upon the way in which we handle our work, write down as many ideas as you can for improving that which you now do. Face it with faith and bend all the great powers of your mind toward solving it. And believe me, solve it, you will. It's like spending 5 hours a week digging in a solid vein of pure gold, because your mind is all of that and much more. 2, if everything you now have is the result of using, say, 5 to 10% of your mental abilities, you can imagine what life will be like if you can increase this figure to 20% or more. Successful people are not people without problems. They're simply people who've learned to solve their problems. Just one great idea can completely revolutionize your work and, as a result, your life. Just one great idea can completely revolutionize your work and, as a result, your life.